Welcome to Catholic Messenger Conversations. Bishop Thomas Zinkula and I, Barb Arlen Fye, are focusing this episode's conversation on his recent trip to Vietnam. Bishop, let's get started. When did you travel to Vietnam and what was the impetus of that journey?
Well, I traveled there, I don't know, not last week, but the week before. I left on a Monday, and got there on Wednesday, just because of the time difference. It's like exactly halfway, it's 12 hours different time difference. So I was there from Wednesday until last Monday.
Okay.
Well, let's see. Yeah, I flew on Monday and got home. Well, I was supposed to get home on, how was that? No, Tuesday. Flew on Tuesday. I was supposed to get home on Tuesday, but there was a problem, so I got home on Wednesday of last week.
Wow. So that's what, 8 days out?
Yeah, 7 or 8 days.
Roughly.
Yeah, maybe 8 days of travel.
And so what was the impetus? What was your reason for going?
Why not? I hadn't been there before. I might as well go and see what's happening in Vietnam.
Right. Yeah.
And besides that, I ordained a young man from Vietnam a month ago, Father Dominic Nguyen, and he was going back to celebrate Mass of Thanksgiving in his parish and other Masses with people he knew, relatives, and then he went back about the same time I did. He's staying there for the month of July because he hasn't been home for 4 months since COVID happened. So to celebrate with his family and relatives and friends. And so I was back there to be a part of that, but also we had been in touch with the bishop from the diocese and in the seminary we started, that began in the fall. I touched base with them about maybe them sending us a couple of seminarians to study finish their seminary in our diocese and be ordained for us to be priests in our diocese. So they identified a couple of young men, and they just finished with their philosophy. And so I had a chance then to meet the bishop and vicar general and the rector in person, and Father Dominic and I together, and then to meet these two guys and their families. And so that was a few reasons for going over there.
Some good reasons. So what insights did you gain? Just tell me about the experience. I mean, getting there, who picked you up at the airport, and, what did you do? Did you get some sleep first, and then did you just meet people, or just describe a day, the first day?
Right, well, the first day so I arrived, I don't know, I think it was early afternoon or mid-afternoon, somewhat earlier in the afternoon, and Father Dominic and his parents and a brother and other family members. There's a group of them. There's probably about 8 or so, met me at the airport. And they had this meal lined up at a restaurant. So we went there and had a nice meal. And course after course after course. And then from there we went to the Chancery, because the next day was going to be the big day with, meeting those seminarians and doing all that. So we stayed there that night, Dominic and I, and then,
is a seminary near his home, his parents' home, or no? Or is it
not too far?
Okay.
It's not like right next to it, but it's not very far. And the Chancery and the seminary are all in the same compound. It's very nice.
Okay.
There's like 400 seminarians there, and there's so there's the Chancery is a big building. It might be the largest diocese in Vietnam. I'm not totally sure, but I think it might be. So there's the big Chancery building, and then there was the buildings for the seminary. There's like 3 or 4.
And where in Vietnam is this?
It's like, so I flew into Saigon, from Ho Chi Minh City, kind of more in the south, and this is north of there a ways, not too far, but up,
Okay.
So we stayed there, and then we got up, a nice breakfast next day, which was a Thursday, and the vicar general took me and Father Dominic around there's 100 seminarians there studying English for 2 months this summer. Four sisters from I can't remember what religious order it was, but were there to teach them. They're like classes of 25, and so a couple nuns and a laywoman from the Boston area, and then a sister from Australia, but from the same order. And so the vicar general took us around to just, what the heck,
like, were these women
them.
okay? Were these women like Vietnamese?
No, they were
okay.
no, just
okay.
They just English speakers from
okay.
this. I don't know how they got in touch with them exactly, but so then he just took us around to visit those. We visited 3 out of the 4 classes. Just what the heck, And they interrupted the class, the class, and did all stuff. So we had, a little interaction, and they could practice their English and hear my English and all that.
Oh, that's great.
And the first class we dropped in on, the sisters kind of like saying to the vicar general, kind of saying, whispering, sort of, is it okay if I, so I'm like, what gives? Well, she wanted to introduce me to those 2 seminarians that are going to come over here.
Oh,
they were in that class. And
that's cool.
And it's not, anyway. And he said, yeah. So I got to meet them there at that time.
So what kind of questions did these seminarians ask you when you were in their classes?
Oh, I don't remember. It was kind of, I don't remember. We talked about different things, different classes. It was nothing that was really that memorable exactly.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I don't remember. But so, yeah, then we had, then they lined us up ahead of time. A mass with me presiding before lunch.
Oh, cool.
Because they're studying English, and here's this guy from the United States, and so we had mass, and then there was a lunch at the chancery with just some of the chancery priests, the bishop, vicar general.
Do the seminarians eat well?
2 seminarians there. This was at the chancery. I don't know. This was not the seminary.
Oh, okay.
They probably ate the same. I don't know. Probably the same kinds of things. It's all I know is it's course after course after course. And so I think before that in the morning, Father Dominic and I met with the bishop, vicar general, the rector, just to talk about things with these seminarians. And what he had done, the bishop he's thinking that this is a class, this is a kind of point in seminary that would be maybe a good time to come over here after philosophy. Mm-hmm. So he asked for volunteers who would be interested in that possibility, and 20 guys put their names in the hat, and the bishop himself interviewed them to kind of determine what their motivation is.
That is cool.
Which is really important. It could be all kinds of reasons for coming over here, and he identified these 2 guys, Joachim and Joseph, for their baptism names, or Zhang and Chi, Vietnamese names. So he identified them, and so then after lunch, the vicar general drove us, and these 2 guys are with me and Father Dominic. We went to visit each of their homes.
Uh-huh.
One was lived close by the seminary, the other one was maybe an hour away, and so I could meet their families, which was really a wonderful experience.
So did you meet with those seminarians before you went into the classrooms then, or was that was after? Oh, okay.
I met them at that.
At that class, and then you had. Oh, I got it. And so then you met with the bishop and the vicar general.
Yeah, and then we finished visiting those, and then we had mass. No, wait, I think we had. I think we met with them before mass.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
okay.
It doesn't matter, but and then lunch, and then visiting their homes. So
what was that like, visiting their homes? Describe like the.
Oh, well, so it's like the traffic's just nuts. In this main drag, there's all these motorcycles and scooters and cars and trucks and just crazy. And so then we get close, then we get off on the side road, and our car was like big, but not really big. But it's so tight, and there's cars coming, and there's and people, and you're just sort of negotiating things and turning corners, and you just really tight space, and finally we come to this home of the first of one of the seminarians, This was Zhang, Joachim, and I'm expecting a few people, his parents and maybe a couple of siblings, and there's all these people. There's this was mostly what I experienced was very simple homes with Dominic's relatives and then these seminarians, and they have kind of this front area, like just kind of an open sort of. I'm not sure if there's even any doors or anything. It's just where they greet people, and then there's all these people are Catholic. There's shrines there and statues and photographs of their ancestors and a few of them, and then there's like a little table and some chairs, and so anyway, so there's all these people, and I'm what's the deal? Why are all these people here? Well, it was his family, I think a couple brothers and his parents maybe, and then the parish council.
Wow.
For his parish they're all guys. It's very traditional sort of setting, kind of a culture there, and this is a big deal for them. This son of the parents and this son of the parish is going to go off and be a missionary,
Wow.
and so they were all excited about it, and they wanted to be there and to meet me and everything, and I think that parish has 12. They said 12,000 families, and
So is that the same parish that Father Dominic belongs to?
no,
It's a different one.
no, 12,000 families and 3,000 immigrants. They estimate, because they're people that have from the north who've come down there because there's a lot of industries there. So they have that parish has produced lots of vocations. They're excited about that, including people who've gone off. They named like about 6 or 7 people who more recently have gone off to different parts of the world, and so they feel good about that they can, they're a live parish if you can, and good stewards, in terms of recognizing their giftedness and sharing their blessings with others, and so they were like thanking me. Here I'm feeling a little bit guilty of like stealing these seminarians away from them, but their parents, everybody, these parish council members are like thanking me to give their parish, their family, the opportunity for their loved one, to kind of go and serve the wider church, to be a missionary, to take the faith, somewhere else, which was kind of mind-blowing, really, when you think about it. They gave me there, I think Zhang's family is maybe a little bit more well-to-do, although not really not well-to-do, but a little better off, it seemed like, and just from their home and stuff. They gave me this big statue of Mary, like 2 feet tall, carved out of wood, beautiful, and as a gift, So it was.
Question for
very
you:
touching.
How old are the seminarians? Would you say are they in their 20s or?
One of them, I asked him. One of them is 26.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I think I'm right on this. They don't ordain you until you're 33.
Oh, wow.
We ordain guys at 26, maybe.
Yeah.
But their seminary is way longer than ours. It's just that's how they do it, for whatever reason. And so one of them I know is 26.
Okay.
So he'd have come back here and spend a year kind of working on English and getting to know the culture, and maybe go to seminary next fall, which means 4 more years. So he'd be, if it all worked out, he'd be 31 or so when he.
So if they're in philosophy, that means are they pretty far along in their seminary studies?
Yeah, they would have been in seminary for a number of years by now.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
Here maybe it would be 2 years after college, but with those guys, I don't know if they probably didn't go to college for this. So they could have been in school for 4 years for all I know already.
Okay.
And then like lots more. So so it was, and then so that was that, and then we went to the other seminarian's home, and that was more like what I expected. There's his parents and a sister, very simple people. That again, very welcoming and thankful for this opportunity for their sons to go be missionaries. And I mean that I didn't ask. they didn't that the parents' occupation didn't come up with the first seminarians at his home, but at Chi's house, they talked about it. They make tofu. They get up at 2:00 in the morning, every single morning of the week and weekend, to make tofu. The mother takes maybe half of it to the market, and she has her spot in the market. Their same market, same spot, to sell it. And the father, there's customers, so he takes it around different people, and then whatever's left, he goes to some other markets, and then maybe they finish at 1:00 in the afternoon.
Wow.
This is like every single day because customers depend on them.
Wow.
But
did they serve you any tofu?
no, they didn't.
Okay.
We talked about some of is better than others, kind of depending on. Had a little discussion.
I wonder if they did marketing of their tofu.
Yeah,
This is the best tofu on
I
this
don't think
side
they
of
have to do
Vietnam.
that. No, but so the parents and the seminarians, they trust in this discernment process, that the seminary went through, and me and their son, and these guys themselves, the seminarians themselves, they feel that the Holy Spirit is calling their sons to do this, to travel over here. And two people used the word. One of them was the father. One of these guys, and the other one I can't remember. But two of them, and they don't speak English, hardly at all, but they know some, a little word here and there. And this is an English word anyway. The two of them spoke the word, mentioned the word fiat, which Mary said when she was asked by the angel to be, the son of Jesus, or the mother of Jesus, and so they used that word, fiat, which is kind of interesting.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
Do you think they also thought it was an honor that
I'm sure.
that a bishop had asked for their two sons to?
Well, I didn't ask for them specifically, but ultimately I asked, and then they were the two that they, I'm sure, they saw it as honor. The whole thing, the honor of their sons being able to go and
serving
do this,
and
this work, because we're mission territory these days. We're becoming increasingly secular, and they have a lot of vocation. What I thought about was, I'm familiar with Divine Word College in Epworth, just west of Dubuque a little ways. And I know of Iowa farm boys that, back in the day, that not anymore. So they're all, hardly any are Caucasian, if anybody's Caucasian at their Divine Word anymore. But back in the day, there's these guys that have deep faith, and they're adventurous and going to go off and be a missionary. It's probably the same guy, and their parents would have been proud of that, right?
Yeah.
So that was the feel of it.
Wow. That's really cool. So you went to that family's house, and then what did you do after that? What happened after that? Then did you?
Yeah. So then we went to we had a dinner. There's lots of these nice dinners because Dominic's back home, and different. Like this one was at the home of an aunt and uncle, and so they dropped us off there, and we stayed there at the rectory that night. There's a rectory close by. They lived his aunt and uncle right close to the church.
Oh, okay.
So Dominic had lined up for us to stay there. So we went to these people's home. There were lots of relatives, maybe 3 dozen, and another wonderful meal. And the pastor was there from that parish as well.
And that was Father Dominic's.
No,
road.
No, that was his aunt and uncle.
Yeah.
But not his parish.
Right.
Different parish. And they're building a new church there. They're building a new church at Father Dominic's parish. There's a number of, probably maybe 4 or so churches I saw. That area is very Catholic because probably the French brought Catholicism to Vietnam, and then and these people from the north, communism is coming, an atheistic communism, and so they kind of were refugees. They came south,
Okay,
and they came as communities, parish communities. They'd settle in the same area, and have build maybe a simple church initially.
Yeah.
And then they've been there a long time now, and now they're built. Now they're not wealthy, but they are settled now, and they maybe have a little money to contribute to build a a big church now.
So
there's
is Dominic's parish, is that also like a 12,000
yeah.
parish? So that the one of the seminarians is like 12,000 and Dominic's also?
Yeah, there's I'm not, I don't know.
That's amazing.
There's I don't know how many of them are that size, but
That's just
there's
incredible.
more than that. We just drove by parish after parish when we were driving. I mean, you could literally, there are times when you could throw a rock and hit another church.
Wow.
But it's like here, it used to be Irish across the street from the German parish,
Mm-hmm.
So it's just very Catholic in that area.
Wow.
And they practice 80%. I think they said 80% go to mass on Sundays.
Wow.
I mean, some of them have to work probably, and they can't, and then weekdays, lots of people. They might have 1,000 people at mass on a weekday mass.
Tell us what time the masses are on weekdays.
Well, in Father Dominic's parish, I mean, some of them they have them. There was masses in the evening sometimes on the weekdays, and maybe one in the morning, one in the evening. Yeah, that guy that we stayed with, he was on his own. He had a mass every single weekday, morning and evening, 2 masses, and he had, I think he had a vigil mass and then 3 on Sunday, 2 or 3 on Sunday, and he's on his own.
And didn't you say he's like 78 years
No,
old?
that was not that guy. This was the guy's on his own. Where his aunt and uncle.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about that, where we
yeah.
stayed that time.
Okay.
But yeah, and like, to get back to your question, Dominic's parish, they have mass on weekdays, 4:00 in the morning and 5:00 in the morning.
That's just incredible.
Right, so there's his pastor and parochial vicar, so they each take one, and then on weekends they have a vigil mass on Saturday evening, and then they have Sunday morning 4:00, 5:30, and 7, and they're done for their morning masses. Dominic's mass of Thanksgiving was at 5:30 in between those 2 masses. The other 2 masses, and then they have 2 on Sunday evening, and then they have a small mission. I think he said that they have like a mass a month at this mission.
Wow.
Somewhere nearby. So, and then there was, besides all that, you'd see children. I remember early on, it's kind of later in the afternoon, early evening. All these children would be walking along in their uniforms, and they don't have Catholic schools or anything at all, but. They have Catholic daycare. A lot of sisters have these daycares, whatever. But not. But these kids are going to mass. There'd be a school mass. I think Dominic said one of the parishes. There's like maybe 2 of those a week on weekdays, and they go off there. And there's traffic's crazy. They're walking, groups of them by themselves to mass at Dominic's parish. They don't have evening masses during the week, but I know at least we were there one time. At least one mass on a weekday at 5:00 in the morning is a children's mass, and so they come there. And I think one of the Sunday masses too. I think maybe is a children's mass.
Oh, that's
I'm not totally
really
sure about
incredible.
that, but I think maybe. So yeah, it was.
Tell us
Really
about
something.
about that parish, Dominic's parish. You were telling some interesting stories about that parish and the pastor there.
Yeah, so we stayed there like 3 nights. I think we stayed there Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night. And so
That was at the rectory, right?
yeah, there's some extra rooms there, and it was, well, first of all, I didn't know, we get there, we go to bed at my normal time, and then the church bells ring at 3:30 in the morning. I didn't know they were going to have a 4:00 weekday mass.
Oh my God.
So it was like, and that was a Saturday, I mean, even Saturday.
Oh, wow.
Morning, so,
Yeah.
so then, okay, well, I guess I need to go to bed earlier the next night. So no, it was kind of, they're building a new church there. $4 million,
Wow.
which is a lot for them, and for us it'd be, it'd be many, many $1 million here.
Yeah.
So anyway, they're building this church. So they tore down the old church, and there's a courtyard area, which is not just this big square. It's way more interesting than that, and mysterious kind of, because there's plants and flowers, and this pastor likes fish, right, and animals. So there's all these fish tanks, probably, gosh, I bet 8 or 9, and one was a really big one, really big, and it actually is part of the wall in their little place where we had his lunch thing after his Patrick's Mass Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay.
So actually, part of, she could see these 2 big, like they called them Amazon fish. Fish that somebody gave him, these fish from Amazon. They're like
gosh.
5 or 6 feet. They're huge. And so anyway, so there's the kids don't have any place to play. There's no open space. That's their playground. So kids are there all the time. Their little bicycles are running around playing games, and because there's all this stuff to kind of hide behind and look at and everything.
Oh my gosh.
So it was, that was interesting. And then there's kind of a so now they're celebrating Mass right now in that open area. There's kind of a sanctuary that's kind of covered, and you see that a lot where there's you could have Mass, and then you could have people out in the open and stuff.
Okay.
So that's where they celebrate Mass, and in that open area, in that, so there's a sanctuary there, and then that open area. So that's kind of the feel of it, and then
And so all the people were sitting out in the open area?
yeah, but there was a lot of it was covered.
Covered, okay.
There'd be some tin or something up there.
Okay.
Not the whole thing wasn't, but a lot of it was, in terms of the sun and everything. But
How many people do you think were at that Mass?
I don't know. I don't know. People were talking about that. Probably, I don't know.
Hundreds?
Oh yeah. They just put out these little stools all over the place.
Uh-huh.
It's hard to tell because you can't, you can't see every. It's not like this
yeah.
big. It's just there's things kind of here and there.
And they had lots of musicians and...
Yeah, they had a choir. There's a lot of the women were dressed in these white, these yellow sort of dresses that they kind of wear, kind of Asian, like Vietnamese wear, and the men had these yellow, kind of light yellow shirts, and there were a lot. There was probably a couple dozen or more, and then there was tubas and drums, in the procession, and then they went off to their place and did their thing once in a while. Yeah, and then Father Dominic had invited everybody who from that parish who was a priest or sister. Mm-hmm. Not all of them, probably most couldn't come because it's Sunday morning, whatever, and they're busy celebrating Mass.
Yeah.
But there was a few of them that were back, maybe a half a dozen. So they had a lot of vocations from that place, but maybe there are half a dozen priests and maybe a few sisters. He invited the 2 seminarians and their parents, so they came.
Oh, that's cool.
Which was really great to feel more a part of things, a priest from back here and me being there. There's a sister, one of the sisters, there's some sisters staying with the Humility sisters here in Davenport that they're from Vietnam, and they're studying they're studying at St. Ambrose and then living with the sisters. And so one of them was back, and I know them, because they're around. They're just right, their mother house is right next to the chancery,
right.
And so and that's where they live. So one of them was back getting her renewing her student visa, and so Dominic invited her. So she came with one of her sisters.
Oh, that's great.
And so yeah, it was really nice. It was it wasn't like really long because you've got another Mass hour and a half.
Exactly.
And so, but they still did stuff at the end with, giving gifts, and then they gave me flowers, and Dominic and there people were talking and giving talks. I couldn't understand most of it, of course, but yeah, it was. And there was this big neon clock, huge, with the kind of right there, and I'm like. That here people take out clocks because
right.
not to be focused on time, and it wasn't just a little simple. It's like this big thing,
oh my God.
real close. But there, you got masses that tight. It was kind of interesting. A purist, Deacon Frank would have driven crazy. It drove me crazy. This clock.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah. So anyway, yeah, and then there was this luncheon thing after that, and. Oh, really nice.
So just to kind of wrap things up, what were, some really impression, something that you really came away from that you're probably still wrapping your mind around?
Yeah, there are people that are so welcoming and kind, and, I was hanging out with his family a lot in these meals, and just people were, and just simple lives, and, a real strong sense of community. Of course, here we move around so much, these days. Go for a job there, go live some other place, and we kind of lose touch with family, and, we don't have that communal sense. But there, it's huge. And there's a dark side of that too, they don't have the opportunities we have, and things are tighter for your average person than they would be here, and all that. But that was really, really, really beautiful.
But you really enjoy immersing yourself in
the
culture, right?
Oh yeah, I love that.
And that includes all of that different exotic food.
Yeah, I love all of that, and I have an inside look at things in this situation. I'm not a regular tourist, kind of looking in from the outside. I'm like right there with them, and I can ask questions, and I can experience what life is like for them, and meeting like Father Dominic's, his like grandparents, a couple grandmothers who aren't doing well at all, and going to the hospital, to bring her communion, one of them, and just, that was very, and then the other, so that was really wonderful. Another thing, I've been talking a lot about this pastor at his parish. I had a kick out of, because he's this little, like Dominic is short, right? And he towers over this pastor. He's 78 years old. He's got a pastor of 12,000 people. There's a parochial vicar as well, but still, he's building this big church, and he just smiles and chuckles all the time. He's just so joyful. And we had meals with him, a couple of one with the parish council, because that's such a big deal for them. One evening, and then a luncheon with some area priests. Yeah. And he just loves that, and bringing people together. Great. And then he has those fish I was talking about. Well, he used to have animals there too, but the city government evidently told him he couldn't keep them in that area, all these people. And so now we visit the cemetery, their parish cemetery, which is always interesting to see what that's like in different cultures, how they do death and mourning and grieving and stuff. And so we went out there, and we kind of ended up over by the caretaker's little house, and the woman wife mother was showing us her chickens. She had a few chickens and a few pigs, and then she went to this other place and showed us these exotic animals, which I thought, what's interesting, they have those. Well, it was they were, the priest had them, back at the parish, until they told him he had to, get rid of them. And so now they're out there, and there was 2 alligators, and another little pen with a python, some monkeys, couple of tortoises, a porcupine.
Wow!
So I just got a kick out of him. He knew a few words in English, so most of we couldn't just have a long conversation. But it was really uplifting to kind of experience him. He could, here we'd be talking about burnout and and all that, and here's this guy, 78. Not taking any days off. I'm not saying this is ideal. We do need to be careful about taking care of ourselves. Right. But he has a 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock mass every morning.
That's just amazing.
And he's building this church, and he has these kind of interesting sort of hobbies or whatever, and he's joyful. So anyway, that was one thing. That's
great. And finally, the Mass of Thanksgiving that Father Dominic got to celebrate in his home parish. As you said, he hasn't been back home in 4 years, and now he's an ordained priest there.
Yeah.
What was that? What was that experience like for you?
Oh, well, everybody was joyful. And we not only we celebrate Mass there, but he has a couple aunts. So we celebrated in these couple of different simple Mass, the regular Masses. There'd be a meal, like breakfast, and then there's the Mass and then breakfast. And so we celebrated a couple of different communities with that. We celebrated Mass with the sisters that are studying here. Mm-hmm. That one sister that I was talking about, and everybody. I was concerned about taking away from his thing, being there, but it wasn't. It was more like adding to it.
Yeah.
So it's like, here's Father Dominic, but then now his bishop is there. It was really special and really uplifting.
That's great. Bishop, this has been so interesting. I look forward to next time's conversation.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot, Bishop.
Sure.
See you next time.